I want to ask you this: how bad do you want to punish Tyson Fury?
Man.
How bad do you want to knock him out and just make a statement here?
Man, I want to do more than just knock him out. You know what I mean? People know what I talk about. I don't really have to express myself too strongly. They know what I want, and I think this is the man to get to feed my craving of wanting one particular thing. And if you're a fan of mine and you've been keeping up with me, you already know what I'm talking about. So you know what they're saying. What's understood? Come on, y'all.
Don't have to be
Come on, baby.
explained and said.
What's good, family? Smash the like button and subscribe. So we just heard there from Deontay, Deontay Wilder. Now, obviously, I'm pretty sure most of you man got the hint, but essentially Wilder is saying he wants to KILL Tyson Fury. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is we've heard all these goofy things from Wilder before, but I think it's key that I know that we all know that Wilder obviously listens to the YB. The YB is Wilder's #1 channel. As are, to be fair, most boxers, the #1 channel is the YB, no doubt. They may act like they don't watch the channel or, oh, what's that channel? But as we found out from Tyrone Booth the other day, they watch all the channels. Yeah, they watch all. They know all the words. They know all. I'm telling you now, every boxer out there knows their name. Usyk knows his name. Deontay knows his name. If any of the media say, "Oh, have you heard of YB?" They'll try and play it stush. Oh, I never heard of him. 2-2s. They trust me. They'll be. You best believe they'll be mentioning the name that I've given them. Anyway, the point is, we know Wilder listens to the YB. He's locked in, and on that basis, I want to give him a lesson because, as we've found out over the last 12, 18 months, you haven't got no real dons around you. You've got a bunch of fruity tooty fangirl looking asses, big mama looking asses, 78 Sports TV, etc, etc. You haven't got no real dons, because if you had, you wouldn't be down so bad right now. Because your mans, yeah, your peoples have got you down super bad. You'd be looking super fruity. You don't be looking like the 6'7" intimidating champion you want to be. Crying about how you got your head dented and listen, Wilder's down bad right now. And the problem is, I never really used to believe in it, this whole notion of a victim mentality, but the way that the LDBC and Wilder and all of his fangirls carry on, it's a real victim mentality. Oh man, it's the man's got me there. What's wrong with you? Fix up, be strong. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be, even if it was the case, yeah. Let's say the man has got you down. What happened to being strong? Yeah. What happened to that? What happened to staring adversity in the face? And the worst thing is, what gets me, yeah. This isn't the case. It's not 1795, where you're completely powerless. You have 12 3-minute rounds to get your get back. Do you not? Your team checked the gloves. That's on you, I'm afraid to say. If your team was sloppy, that's on you. And even if, let's say for example, yeah, the gloves was dodgy. Let's say for example, yeah, the drink was tampered with. Whose fault's that then? Who's got a sloppy team? I don't know, you tell me. Because if you're going to, in my mind, yeah, I like to think I'm pretty conspiratorial. And if that's the case, why aren't you on point? Why aren't you putting people in who you trust in certain positions? If it's me, yeah, I've got a girlfriend or whatever. Well, the point is, next time, yeah, the point is, if you're that conspiratorial, why haven't you got people you trust handling the drink, handling the gloves? And I think the problem is, Wilder did have people he trusts handling them things. So it was nothing really to do with them issues. I think he knows the people who did that were okay. Got nothing to do with the gloves or the drink. He's just trying to make things up and look weak and blame, victim mentality. That's what it is, bottom line. Because he hasn't shown one strong part. He's proper messy, and the things he's said over this period. Oh man, silence is golden. And he's not wrong there, but it's no good saying silence is golden 12 months after you've been whining. What planet is this guy on? Where was silence is golden for the last 12 months when you've been crying? There ain't been a bit of silence. I was begging, and this is the thing. Again, I know you listen to the YB and I'm trying to help you. I give free, impartial advice. I could charge you for this kind of advice because clearly you ain't getting it. Because all your goofy, fruity, tooty fangirls haven't told you this. I'd have told you, Wilder. If you had me round you, I'd be telling you, man, you're a boss, man. You're 6'7". You're a 6'7" African American. Settle yourself. What are you whining for? You're meant to be the warrior. Listen, what we do know is, yeah, whenever I've watched any Zulu, in fact, a great example, I'm not a historian, yeah, but when the British or whoever were invading, was it South Africa? Wherever it was, wherever the Zulus were, when the British were invading Africa, and they came with guns, and them man had spears, I didn't hear no whining. Oh, man, they got a gun. I've only got a spear. No. They got their nuts out and went to work. That is what you call a warrior. Where was that? It's no good putting the garms on. Oh, I've got the garms on. Where's the spirit? Because, again, there's too much of these fruity cats. Oh, man, they like to like... And this is the problem with 2021. People they like the look and sound of things. They like to say hit piece names. Oh, George Floyd. They say things like that, and as if it's got weight. Spirit is spirit. All this whole quoting an acronym, quoting a famous name, don't mean nothing. If you got the spirit inside you, you got the spirit inside you. Now, Wilder, oh man, I'm anointed. If you was anointed, if you was a spirit, you wouldn't be whining. Because, like I said, I didn't hear no Zulu warrior dons whining about how they had guns and we've only got spears. They got to work. Yeah? So even if Fury did have whatever in his gloves, Zulu Donnies won't, I didn't hear them whining. Yeah? Get to it. Because I don't care what no one says. Even if his gloves were rigged, he's got boobs on his waist. So, it's kind of, in my mind, it balances out. You're an athlete, he's got boobies on his back. So, you know what I'm saying? In my mind, that's a fair fight. And you yourself admitted Fury doesn't have no power. And again, you yourself admitted that Fury couldn't knock you out. So which is it? You can't cry and moan. Oh, man, well, he got his gloves and, but you said he ain't got no power and how he couldn't stop you. So why are you crying for? And again, either way, yeah, even if you haven't got the Zulu spirit, because you're crying, whining. If you had any of that spirit in you, you wouldn't have. Listen. The last 12 months, you've been going out super sad, all the way sad. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not even one of your fans, but as a man, I've got more respect for you than any of your goofies have, because they wouldn't tell you. I've just told you, and I swear down, yeah. When Wilder hears this, he's gonna be shocked. He's gonna feel super. He's gonna be going out super bad after he hears what I've just said. He's gonna be going through it. You best believe, because he thought all this time that whining and crying must be a warrior. That's what he thought. This is the thing again. In 2021, men have become feminized. And I'm not trying to make out I'm some big masculine man, but the facts are the facts. You be whining. You be a 6'7", big for nothing looking ass, and you're crying and whining. That's what, traditionally, yeah. That's not men's business. Men's business ain't crying and whining, but for some reason, for the last 50 years, the whole notion's been, men need to talk about their feelings, and men need to get to work, keep their mouth shut, and get to it. Too much feelings. Too much stuff don't need to be said. Too much fruity tootiness. And the problem is, a lot of the men have been removed from the household for whatever reason. So you've got a whole bunch of women raising men, and there's a reason it takes a man and a woman to make a child. It wasn't intended for a man to be raised by a whole bag of women. Bottom line, Wilder been raised by a whole bag of women. It's not his fault, but at the end of the day, you want to be preaching about, oh man, I'm a warrior and I've got the garms on and where was the garms when you was making videos about how you got your head bust and your cranium bust? Yeah? What you need to be doing is keep your mouth shut. If you ain't got nothing masculine to say, don't say it. All you be doing is crying and whining. You've got 12 3-minute rounds to get your get back. That's all you should have been worrying about for the last 18 months. But again, you haven't got no people real around you. Because not one man checked you and said, Wilder, this ain't it. It's no good trying to... The way Wilder carries on, like he's trying to carry on some Zulu thing. You ain't no Zulu thing, because you've been crying too much. You've been doing way too much crying. And in fact, trust me, when these historical events took place here, and by the way, just quickly, shout out to a general in the comments for putting this out, but it's true. Throughout history, in historical battles, yeah, the main armies would have follower camps. Follower camps would be where the women and whatever else follow behind the main army. Wilder, you and your dons, you and all the LDBC, you man, are in the follower camps with the women. You ain't on the front line, because there ain't no whining looking ass on the front line. Too much whining. The men who are about to lay their life on the line, they ain't trying to hear all that whining. Yeah? They're about to go to Valhalla. Oh man, my head, and got no time to. They got stuff to be doing. You man back with the women's, crying and whining and worrying about whatever else you got to do. Yeah? That's where you be at, no doubt. It's not your fault, because you don't even, it's the thing, you don't even know how it sounds, because that's why you're doing it. And that's why you be twerking and stuff like that. You just don't know how things look. But all I'm saying is, you got to pick a lane. Because it's no good giving it the, oh man, I'm going to K.I. You ain't going to, the only thing, listen. The only thing you be K.I.L.ing. I don't know what it is, but yeah, in fact, they're lie. I do know what it is. The only thing you be K.I.L.ing is the twerking. That's the truth of it. That is the truth. You, in terms of killing things, yeah, you are the number one at twerking. The way you throw it back, you be killing it. And that's about it. Because you ain't killing nothing else. You ain't killing nothing else. The way you be sounding. Bottom line. And the last thing I'll say, is, on this point is that another key. I want Wilder, when he listens to this, I want him to think about something in particular, because when he was fighting Fury, yeah, and he shelled up in a corner and just shelled up and didn't throw back, just stood there like a heavy bag. When you talk about these things of, oh man, I want to take his life, and when you say them things, or when you kind of hint at them things, if and when you end up in the corner, shelling up, with your earmuffs on, that's when I want you to think about the things you said. Because it's no good being in the corner, shelling up, then your team shows you mercy and throws a towel in, and then you get mad at them. In fact, not just you, I want all fighters to know, yeah? Before you make big claims about what you're going to do, just make sure when you're in the ring, you do not shell up for 3 or 4 rounds. Or even a round, to be fair. You've got no business doing that. If you intend on winning a fight, you've got no business to be standing there like a heavy bag. That's when you show the ruthless spirit. That's when you show the warrior spirit. You don't show it 6 months later on an interview. It's no good talking about it then. Show us it in the ring. Because you could have been, I'm not being funny, yeah? You blame Mark Breland, but Mark Breland was watching the same fight we was all watching. You weren't doing nothing back. You were standing like a heavy bag. If you had so much to say, if you were so angry afterwards, where was the anger when the man was licking you in your head? That's what I don't get. How can you be angry at your corner man when you had nothing to say or do or be angry about when he was licking you? Someone please explain to me how Wilder was angry or frustrated after the fight. Where was your anger and frustration when my man was licking you on your head and denting your cranium for you? Because it weren't for me, it was for you. He dented your head for you. And you didn't have nothing to say. And then 2-2s after the fight, all of a sudden you want to kick up a fuss. Where was the fuss kicking up in? When you was in the ring and the fight was active. That's what I want all fighters from now on to know. If you're planning on kicking up a fuss after a fight, you best use that energy in the actual fight. It's no good standing there like a heavy bag for 3 or 4 rounds and then wondering and being angry that your team threw the towel in. Because I don't care. Yeah, you can say, well, I wasn't. Yeah, no. And the thing is, it wasn't even like he was surviving. You'd been put down 4 times as well. Let's not forget that. This wasn't a case of, oh my God, I can't believe the team threw the towel in because he couldn't even hurt me. You'd been down for the first time in your career, essentially. In that sense, in recent years, for the first time in your career, you've been down 4 times in one night. So you've been down 4 times, and then you're not throwing back. What was he supposed to do? I know you'd argue, well, who's supposed to let it keep going, but for what purpose? You wasn't doing. There was no way. At best, you would have lost on points devastatingly. At best, assuming he didn't put your spark out, which was equally possible, to be fair, because you had 5 rounds left. And you've been down 4 times already. And to be honest, I've never seen a referee allow more than 5, 6 knockdowns. So, unless you thought that the referee was going to allow 12 knockdowns or something, you was going to get stopped anyway, officially, because you weren't throwing back. I mean, I'm not being funny. Look at George Groves versus Froch, the first fight. Look how relatively quickly that was stopped. You got whooped a lot more, and you did a lot less than George Groves did, if that makes sense. The referee could have stopped that fight. And probably should have anyway. But anyway, listen. Go man in circles. And in fact, I want to say one more thing as well before I go. Listen. I just want to say, this whole KILL energy, yeah. Let me say a message to Wilder right now. This whole energy and notion and hint you're putting out there. Make sure you deliver it, or make sure, better yet, this is what's going through your head if and when you're getting licked. Don't be thinking about, oh, there's something in the gloves or something in my drink. I want you to be thinking about this particular notion. Because there seems to be this plague in boxers where they say a whole bag of talk, and then in the ring they forget all the good punchlines they were saying. That, you know what I'm saying? If and when, I don't know, maybe you're gonna catch Fury early. Fair play to you. But if and when you end up in the thick of things, we want to see this. We want to see those words then. Interview is cheap talk, because what we do know is, the last time you was in the thick of things, you didn't have no KILL energy. You had the earmuffs on and stand there like a heavy bag energy. There was no KILL in you. So that's what you need to worry about. Don't be worrying about nothing else. Worry about, you know what, next time Fury gets me in the corner and I'm getting worked like a heavy bag, he's touching me up and down, working me all over, giving me a good Epstein session. That's when I'm going to be thinking these devilish thoughts. Because it's no good having these thoughts when you're nice in the comfort of your hotel room. Because you had these thoughts last time. Where was all this? Where was that energy? You've talked about wanting to do this to someone before. You didn't have that energy in the ring. Did you? You had it afterwards, firing everyone and blaming everyone. Again, that's that follower camp mentality. Wilder has an A1 follower camp mentality. You were not in the leading camp. You were not with the Warrior Dons. You were not with the Zulus. You were in the back somewhere, posted up with the wives and children. That's where you be at. Yeah? No doubt. So if I suggest, Wilder, if you want to be, what's the word? If you want a promotion to the front line, you're going to have to show it. Because right now, Commander YB has got you with women and children. Yeah, you best believe. And until I see something different, you ain't going to get no promo to the front line. Because we need strong dons in the front line. We don't need no crying people. Oh man, my head, and his gloves, and this and that, and just too fruity.